What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel and more discussion about Arsenal, people. It's been a while. I've had quite a busy schedule lately, people, so I haven't been able to do as many of the videos as I would have wanted, but nevertheless, people, we're back here to briefly reflect on what's been going on over the past few weeks, but also to look ahead to what is a crunch match between Arsenal and Liverpool in the Premier League coming up later today. So let's touch base, people, with where we're at the moment in terms of league positions and the standings and what's been happening in the various competitions, as well as other talking points. So for starters, Arsenal obviously are at the top of the table at the moment, and we have had a somewhat consistent spell. I read a stat, we've won 7 of our last 9 games in all competitions. So since losing to Newcastle in that controversial manner in the Premier League, 1-0 a couple of months ago, we have managed to go on to top our Champions League group, and in so doing secure a more favourable second round tie against a team that finished second in their group. So we've been drawn against Porto, which obviously won't be easy, and it'll be one Arsenal need to turn up and be 100% focused for. But it's also one that Arsenal can think there's an opportunity here for us to execute our plan and potentially advance to the next stage of the competition if we play well. So obviously that's been positive, people. And also, as I mentioned, being top of the Premier League is great. We have traded that position at certain points with Liverpool because we did lose to Aston Villa. However, Liverpool drawing to Manchester United just opened the door for us to cement that top spot over them after we beat Brighton at the weekend. And just briefly to talk about that match against Brighton, I felt it was Arsenal's best performance in the Premier League this season. I thought we were really demonstrating an attacking fluency that we have only seen in patches this season in the Premier League. We were able to maintain control of the match. We pressed Brighton very high up in their defensive line, so right from the goal kick, because Brighton were often playing out from the back, so the goalkeeper for Brugge would play to Van Heck or someone else in the Brighton defence, and Arsenal were straight away on top of them and smothering them with that press from the front, led by the likes of Odegaard, Jesus, Martinelli, etc. And we were able to create chances as well. In that first half, there were a number of opportunities that fell our way, but we just couldn't quite find the finishing touch. But then, obviously, Gabriel Jesus scores from a corner in the second half, free at the back post, and then a wonderful finish from Kai Havertz to just ease any late nerves that were actually starting to creep in, certainly when Brighton had that opportunity from Pascal Gross at the near post with only about 10-15 minutes to go. So Havertz getting that second goal was very important. And on the Havertz thing, people, it's just been wonderful for me to see as a fan, just watching his growth and his evolution at Arsenal, and I really feel like he's growing in confidence with every match. He scored a number of important goals. He scored a winning goal against Brentford in the 89th minute. He scored an equalising goal against Luton, which helped us get back in the game, and then Declan Rice scoring that famous header to win us the 3 points 4-3 there at Luton. And obviously that second goal against Brighton to kill them off. And he's also netted a couple of times in the Champions League. So I feel like Havertz is really starting to demonstrate his qualities, what he brings to the team, his ability to pop up in spaces. So he's got excellent movement off the ball and he can go beyond the runner, especially when he plays with Gabriel Jesus. You'll see Jesus hold the ball up, Havertz will make a run more advanced of Jesus, and obviously Gabriel Jesus has that ability to pick him out, and we've seen that a couple of times, certainly most notably against Luton when he did equalise for that goal, and then in another match in the Champions League it was a similar kind of dynamic and interplay between those two players. So it's great to see Havertz really stepping up, because after the Newcastle game, certainly, where we were somewhat lacking in creativity, there were some questions about whether or not we were getting enough output from the left 8 midfielder. So we've seen Fabio Vieira in that position. We've seen, obviously, Granit Xhaka made it his own last year. But having sold Granit Xhaka, we were looking for either Fabio Vieira or Kai Havertz to step into that role. And at that point, a couple of months ago, it did appear as if that was a potential area of weakness in our team, that we weren't getting enough connection between these sideways containing passes from our middle third to the attacking players. So there was a little bit of a disconnect going on where we were struggling to penetrate and break the lines of opponents, and there was a lack of creativity. However, Havertz coming to the fore, obviously Declan Rice's continued surge and growth in his prominence in the team has enabled us to really move through the gears in midfield and increase the supply lines to the likes of Jesus, Saka, Martinelli, Ødegaard, who are all starting to pop up in more dangerous and threatening positions to create openings. And we're seeing Saka get opportunities. Maybe hasn't quite been as clinical as he'd want to be, but I'm sure that'll come. I thought Martinelli was taking on his man a fair bit in that Brighton game on the outside, so he wasn't afraid to go in on his left foot, on his weaker foot, by going on the outside of his defender. So, and Martin Ødegaard is really starting to pull the strings and dictate things from midfield, all of which are really positive signs for Arsenal. When you add that to a solid defensive structure, with Saliba and Gabriel being as cohesive and impregnable as ever, it does appear as if Arsenal are in a good way. We're in a solid rhythm and we're going in a positive direction. So that brings us on to tonight, people. The match against Liverpool. It will not be easy. Obviously, the Anfield factor is huge. Liverpool being at home, cheered on by their impassioned supporters. It will be a fervorous atmosphere, especially after Jurgen Klopp has essentially called out the Liverpool fans, saying, guys, if you're not going to make noise, don't come. Sell your ticket to someone else. We need Anfield this Saturday. So it's a real rallying cry. He couldn't have been much more explicit about the need for Anfield to be the 12th man that Liverpool crave. And you feel as if it is a test of Arsenal's mental strength, our self-belief. Can we go there and play our football in a cavernous atmosphere? Are we able to maintain that coolness, that composure, to get on the ball, create space for each other, pop up in the areas we need, for supporting runners to arrive in the right patterns that we need, for the overlappers to do their thing, for the guys on the other side of the pitch to find spaces, to time their runs so that when the ball does break free, they're available? And are we able to pick out the right runner when required? Because this was something I noticed people against Brighton just a couple of times, and it was flagged actually by another fan who I was watching online, where he said a couple of times Saka could have slipped in a player who was running on into the penalty area with a late run. So Saka cut in a couple of times. I think it was even in the first half. I think one time it was Declan Rice arriving late, and another time it was Gabriel Jesus. And it was a similar story last year when we played Liverpool at Anfield. In those dying moments, Martinelli had the opportunity to slip Saka in, and he just overhit the pass, or Saka was too tired, whatever, but there was a breakdown in the communication and the execution in that moment. These are the kinds of moments we need in this hotly noisy atmosphere. We need people with a calm head to just take an extra half second just to weigh up the right option, and if they spot a runner out of the corner of their eye, to just lay it off in that nice cushioned fashion for someone to come on and sweep it home. I think that's where we really need to focus. It's those subtle moments at the 11th hour in terms of the finishing moment of the move. Can we just keep those options open in our head to think, okay, I know I want to shoot, but if there is a better option, I'm open to playing that player in for them to score. That's what I want to see, people. I want to see our execution of that final pass and then the finish to be as clinical and as composed as possible. because Liverpool won't be easy. There's no doubt about that. They're a fantastic team. Alexander-Arnold's in the form of his life, I think. Salah's an incredible striker. He just keeps going and going. Szoboszlai, very cute player on the ball, lovely passer, able to break the lines and an athletic runner. So they have got threats, and obviously Núñez, I always feel, is a threat with his presence and his bustling energy up top. Diaz coming in from the left, cutting in and taking shots. So it won't be easy, people, and Liverpool can get ahead of steam when they get 1-2 goals up. So what Arsenal, I feel, need to do is get control of the ball in midfield. Declan Rice is obviously going to be key. Havertz, Ødegaard, finding each other in the right spaces. I hope Zinchenko plays so they can pop into midfield and aid the attack, aid the midfield area. Saka, Martinelli, I want to see them making the right decisions. So if there's, as I said, people picking out the runner, the supporting runner if needed, going on the outside sometimes, taking the shot at the right moment, releasing the pass at the right moment. I want to see Jesus combining, linking the play, but also having an eye for goal. And Kai Havertz, I really want to see him popping up in those advanced positions to convert any chances that may come his way. Because he did have a good chance with a header as well against Brighton, and he had another good headed chance against Luton. So he's good in the air, but I want to see him directing those headers into the corner, because I think he's got it in him. All right, people, it's going to be an incredible match. Let's see how it unravels, people. I think it'll be a close one. Could go either way, and it obviously will have a bearing on who will be top at Christmas, which, whilst that isn't the be-all and end-all, it would be, obviously you do want to accumulate as many points as possible, especially by taking points off your rivals and denting their prospects in the furtherance of your own individual team's progress. So let's see how it goes, people. We'll be back to analyse the game as it unravels. Let's enjoy this one, people, and let's hope for an Arsenal victory. Peace, love.